And on Tuesdays, you're just responsible for whatever we start that day or whatever we're working on, watching the classroom. As a habit, I'm not going to be live streaming. I guess Tuesday I will be live streaming. That's totally optional. Okay, it's for whoever wants it. And it's going to be on my iPad, and it's going to be sort of pointed in this direction, so you can kind of see me walking around and talking. But you're not going to get, I'm not going to field questions through Zoom, and you're not going to see the screen really at all. You'll have to wait for the recording afterwards for that. Okay. The reason I'm not live streaming and trying to do all that is I'm one person. I can't teach and maintain a Zoom room and chat and all that. It's just not going to happen. And I'm not going to ask you guys. I'm not going to ask someone to write for me. I'm not going to ask someone to sit and moderate chat in class. It's dumb. Because it's taking away from your ability to work and ingest and focus. So, one thing I will say, wherever you're sitting now is where you need to stay for the rest of the semester. Okay. If you don't like where you're sitting right now, find a different place. Do you guys care if I take a picture? That way I have a record of where you're sitting. You do mind, Kate? Or?
No.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay. Trying to make sure. Okay, great. Say what?
I forgot where I was sitting on Tuesday.
You're right there.
Oh.
Or no, you're right here.
Okay.
That's right. I have a picture.
I don't even remember you saying everything.
Maybe I didn't. For web design? I might not have for web design. We'll see where everybody ends up on Tuesday and then next week, and then that's what we'll do. Or try to remember to take a picture. If you haven't already, do the introduce yourselves discussion board. That's just so that Tuesday, Thursday people can mix and have some interaction, even if it's just text-based. We will be doing critiques through discussion boards for each of the modules. I've broken up this course. Normally what I do is like I just use Blue Line to host the assignments. Kate, you've had me before. It's how Foundation. Michael, you've had me before. It's all my classes. With the potential to go 100% remote, I decided to systematize the Blue Line course a little bit and put everything into module chunks. So those modules contain things like the assignment description, the critique discussion board, final submission. There might be like reading 1 week. That'll be on there. It's just a document with links to everything you need to be reading. There's no textbook for this class. One thing that I will ask you to get is a sketchbook. Okay. Your sketchbook should be larger than 8.5 by 11. Is that your sketchbook? That's a good size. No, that's really, yeah. I mean, that's 8.5 by 11, but that works. Yeah. Is that just like a newsprint? Kind of. Yeah. Super thin. I like the color though. This would be about as big as you can get. Okay. And this is actually a heavyweight. It's a drawing paper, but it's 80 pounds, so it can take like gouache or watercolor without distorting or warping too much. Not that I'm going to ask you to use gouache or watercolor. Concept sketch is a little different in the sense that this is not a skills-based class. I'm not teaching you any motor skills. I'm not teaching you Illustrator or Photoshop. I'm not teaching you how to draw. I'm not teaching you how to paint. I'm not teaching you how to take pictures or build a website. What this class is about is learning how to think through and pitch a project. Any project. Okay. So it's concepting. It's kind of the old term. Concept. Terrible name because it's really ambiguous. Really, it should be called like project, right? But we're going to have a number of different projects, and I'll show you. We're going to start storyboards today. We'll have multifunctional furniture, mural design, playground design, and then we'll have a personal project at the end that you can break up into 2 smaller projects, which are about equal to the normal projects you're doing this semester. Or you can lump them all together into 1 project and have that kind of be a bigger project. We'll spend about a month working on this. Okay, it's about a third of the semester. A little less than a third. So yeah. But they all follow a very similar structure. We'll have a few weeks to work on the project, either at home or in class. You'll get my feedback and then you'll submit a critique version of it. This is like a draft, okay? Two of you that have been in my classes before, very similar structure to all of my courses. So you submit a critique. Everybody critiques everybody else's work, right? It'll be on the discussion boards. You'll upload a record or some sort of artifact for your stuff. For most of these, it's going to be like either, depending on what you've done, if you're doing it digitally or by hand, you're going to submit like an image of it in some way. If you use Photoshop, JPEG, if you're drawing it out, then just take a good photo with decent lighting of your drawing. I mean, decent lighting is not the lighting in the classroom. Or a scan, scanning it. It needs to be legible. You don't have to be an expert draftsman, someone who can draw really, really well for this class at all. Stick figures are totally cool. They work really, really well in lots of instances and contexts. But you do need to make an effort to communicate your ideas. So if you're worried about your drawing skills, put lots of notes. Lots of references for stuff. And we'll talk about that with storyboards here. But yeah, that'll be the structure. So we'll have like a couple of weeks to work on that. Like storyboards are due on the 1st, which is like 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks. Then the critiques are due at midnight. Everything will be online. It's kind of a pass-fail. Like you either do it and get all the points, or you don't do it and get none of the points. I don't really do a sliding scale of points for that. Okay. The big chunk, the remaining 75% of the project, comes through the final submission. And that's one where you'll get a rubric from me. Okay. If you didn't watch the video from Tuesday, the rubric looks like this. Rubric looks like this. 40% of it is just turning in on time. 10% is craftsmanship. 10% is thoroughness, diligence, clarity. That gets you to 80%. Okay, that is a low B, a B minus, or a high C. And then if you want to get higher than that, then there's this sort of fuzzy category called inventiveness. Did you push yourself? Did you exhibit creativity? Did you go outside of the bounds of what I showed you? Did you do some research on your own, find different examples, inform what you wanted to do? And that will get you into the upper B's. Okay? And it's not hard. It's not hard to get. Really, it's just a matter of like, did you show interest? Okay, in the project? Are you trying? That kind of thing. So you'll get this from me as an attachment to your Blue Line submission. You'll have your points. If you get anything less than 7 points, I will leave detailed comments about what needs to be fixed or what could be fixed. You don't get a second chance to submit it. Okay, it's just for the future reference. Right? To let you know why I graded it the way I did. If you get into the 9s or the 10s or upper, I'll be like, this was what worked really, really well. Keep doing these kinds of things. This was great. I usually, inside inventiveness, sort of leave a summary, right? Occasionally, I'll attach a GIF as well. And that GIF will be like the summation of my emotional experience with your piece, right? My emotional reaction to it. I like GIFs a lot, so that might happen. Yeah, so that's essentially assignments in a nutshell. Okay. Are there any questions over that? What's going to happen? Okay, great. Let me do attendance really quick. We don't have tests. We don't have midterms. Not in this class. We don't have final tests. You'll just turn in projects. Like the midterms will be a project deadline, probably multifunctional furniture, and then finals will be your final project deadline. Okay. All right, let's do attendance real quick. For that, introduce yourself. Just do like a small paragraph about yourself, or you can do a video. I uploaded, I attached a video. All right, Cole, Kate, Tim, Chelsea's not here. Chelsea, wait, did she email? He may have emailed me. Michael? Well, that's Slatterly. Where's Michael? Alex, then? Michael Slatterly. All right, I gotta check my emails later. Let's see. But yeah, you can see there's like 7 or 8 people for Tuesday, and 7 people for today. Student fun.
What is the like flashing cap?
12, including me. So like 11. Yeah, it's even less for 205. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, 13. 13. Okay, so 13.
And we're barely over.
Yeah, my web design class too is barely over, and that actually happened on Sunday. It was normally supposed to be an SD100, but then I had to add 2 people on Sunday, right before classes started. So I had to rewrite the class. Not entirely, but enough that it was kind of a pain in the ass. It's fine. It's fine. We're getting through it. We're getting through it. Okay. So we're going to start storyboards today. All right. Storyboards are going to, like I said, the critique will be due on the 1st. This project tends to go pretty quickly. I've got some videos I'm going to show you guys, which I'll bring up here in a minute. But essentially, has anyone ever made a storyboard before? Ish? What did you do yours for?
Short film.
Oh, cool. All right, yeah. What did you do yours for?
Multiple short films.
Sure.
That's what I meant.
That's what happens. Yeah. Yeah, that happens a lot. Storyboards are great, especially for film, right? Because film is and animation, any kind of movie, any time-based medium is really complicated in terms of all the moving parts and the pieces and how you break it down. Storyboards are also great for, they're really good for complicated projects, especially time-based things. And what they come down to, and these are storyboards. This is storyboards from Phantom Menace. This is from Alien. This one is from the first Star Wars film. Yeah, first one. And this is just the pre-visualization of what they want the movie to look like. So they're thinking about the camera, they're thinking about movement, the movement of the actors and the elements within the camera, but also the camera moving around. And really, the camera is a stand-in for the perspective of the viewer, okay, the audience. Think of it like a comic, right? But a comic that is a plan for a different medium. Okay? It's not just film, it's not just TV, it's not just animation. I do storyboards for interactive art projects because they're time-based, right? But they're time-based, and then they are subject to the whim of the user. Like the user has a lot of agency in interactive work. Think video games, right? The user can just go wherever they want, generally, within constraints, of course, depending on the video game. Some video games are on rails, on path. Video games are open world, just go wherever. So, in that sense, you're not so much controlling exactly the camera view, but you're controlling. You're trying to like visualize potential scenes and vignettes and stuff that happens, or that you want the emotions that you want the viewer to feel, right? The audience. In our case, we're going to be using them to sort of outline and pitch, communicate. You're going to try to communicate to me. Think of me as like your art director. Some idea that you want to try to do, something that you feel passionate about, that you want. Some complicated thing that you need approval and funding and resources for. So you have got to get that idea across. You've got to communicate to me that this idea is worth doing. Okay. So there's a bunch of reading. We're going to watch some of this in class. Ridley Scott on storyboarding. Ridley Scott was a director for Alien. I have No Country for Old Men storyboard comparisons from the storyboards they did for the film and then how they actually shot it. The Coen Brothers film, if you haven't seen it. The Thing is a John Carpenter's film. Kind of not super DIY. Like he did the student film back in the 70s before he did The Thing. So, just rewatched it. So weird. But it was really good. And then he went on to do The Thing, Mad Max Fury Road. Who's seen Mad Max Fury Road? Oh my god, you guys, seriously? None of you? Mad Max Fury Road came out just a few years ago. It was like 5 years ago. No?
Don't worry, I watched Inception like 20 times.
Oh, my heart. Adventure Time storyboarding. So these are all. Actually, I think all of these are videos. We are not going to watch in class how to storyboard for people that can't draw, storyboard basics, and camera movements. I want you to watch those on your own. Actually, you know what? Let me reorganize this a little bit better. That's the nice thing about doing Google Docs is I can just on the fly here change this. Now that I'm thinking about it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to watch about 5 short things in here about different examples of how storyboards are used for films and animation. The fun thing about Mad Max Fury Road is there was no script for that movie. It was all done in storyboard first. Like they just storyboarded the hell out of it, wrote no dialogue and no scripts. They did a dialogue the day of for the scenes, let the actors kind of figure out the dialogue in a lot of ways, let them improvise. It's great. Which is one of the reasons why Tom Hardy doesn't have a whole lot of lines in that film. Not that you guys have seen it. He is Mad Max, but he's not the main character. It's amazing. It's not about him. It is tangentially about him. It's such a visceral. Well, we might assign it as homework, or we might end up just watching it in class. I tend to do that during studio time. I'll throw a movie up. For you that haven't been. I'll throw a movie up on the screen while we're working. It's just sort of like ambient background noise. And if that really like disturbs anybody, or we won't do anything. But so for this project, we're going to develop a concept for a cartoon or a movie scene, or if you really feel strongly about some other kind of project, complicated project, like I said, interactive video games, something like that. That would work too. You could also maybe do an alternate ending to a movie that already exists. Maybe you have a movie that you like a lot, but had some issues with it, and so you want to storyboard out how it could have been changed or done different. Maybe a commercial, whatever, right? It has to be time-based. Storyboards are used for time-based movies. So what I want you to create for this is it's bigger. There we go. 12 to 24 frame storyboards. Okay. If I was doing it on here, how I would want to think about it, or how I would lay it out on this big sheet, would be something like my storyboard would probably be about this big. Okay. I would have notes here, so I'd do like 3 storyboards. Okay. That's kind of the format I want you to. There's so many different formats. What I want you to avoid is the comic strip, the Sunday comic strip thing, where you just do like strip of storyboards and have tiny little spaces. The notes are where you're going to be able to communicate really quick. That's not to say just draw a box and draw a couple little figures and label them, and then do like everything in notes, like don't write me in a book, right? But do your frames, try to visually communicate like movement of the people within the pane, movement of the camera, zooming in, is it zooming out, is it static, is it right, up and down, are people spinning? I mean, think about the example up here. You know, this arc is definitely showing you the directions that they are all spinning, right? Like it gives you that sense of like, oh, they're going like this as they're moving about in the scene, right? It's not really talking about camera movement too much. Although it does sort of show the pan. That's what this line means. Line means it pans over. Here, a couple of different things. Static. This one, if we could see it better. And I have a couple. I should bring them. Well, I can't really pass them around. I have a couple of books about storyboarding and Star Wars stuff. So you know that would show you different things where like they may draw like a little box and then have lines going to the corners of the larger box. And that's usually a zoom in or a zoom out, right? You just label it or you put arrows for the direction of the camera. You could even do it up here if you want to. If you have a camera pan that goes diagonal. You just need to think about how to communicate that. try to visualize as much as possible what you want to happen, and then how you're going to communicate. Okay? So ideally, what I would love on your sketchbooks, like on yours, what I would maybe do is like probably one storyboard with notes per page, right? You could maybe get 5 and 2. But you need to leave yourself enough room to draw clearly, like a 5 by 7 inch area to draw, and then space for notes. Okay. But like on something bigger, 3 would work really well. You maybe could get 4, depending how you organize. 2, 3, 4, and then just lots of notes here. Something like that. Does that seem clear to everybody? Okay, great. All right. Yeah. So we're going to do 12 to 24 frames, depending on what you need to talk about. If you can start with 12 and then send me a picture of it. I'm not allowed to walk around and look at your guys' work. So you have to like, even if we're in class, you have to just like snap a photo and then maybe airdrop it to me or something. I can look at it, put it up there, and we can talk about it. I may say something like, yeah, you got to add a few more frames because this doesn't seem clear between points or something like that. So you're going to end up with anywhere between 12 and 24. 12 is your minimum. 24 is not a maximum. Okay, you can go above that if you want. Please do not get into the hundreds. That just becomes too much. Right? Shoot for it if you want to. That's fine. I'm not going to take points off for it. I'm just going to go. All right, here we go. You know, like I will grade it. Crap. I will grade it. But you need to think about key moments in your piece, beginning, middle, end, and then in-betweens. Like animation has this concept of keyframes and in-betweens, right? Keyframes in an animation, like in a walk animation, would be like standing pose, a fully extended pose, and then maybe like an extension pose for each leg. Then your in-betweens would be all the little bits and pieces between all that tie it all together. The same concept applies here. Okay? Think of it as like an outline for a paper. You're doing the outline, you're doing then like the little subject paragraphs between in each of the sections of the outline, and then you go and you actually write the paper. We're not going to get to the point where we write the paper, that's making the project. We're just doing the outline. But it still needs to be a fairly complete outline. If you do a really good outline, it's very easy to write. Right? It's all laid out. Same thing works here. Think about the timing of your piece. Maybe the length was like 15 to 20 seconds. How does it flow from beginning to end? And that length can be anything you want. It's fine. Start loose, start sketching. Maybe start sketching freely first and then move to the storyboard format. What I mean by that is just don't like try to constrain yourself to thinking within that box first. Just start drawing and writing notes and thinking about what you want to have happen. And then when you have a couple pages of that, then go into. So you even got to do like a little bit of outlining before you do the outline. Yeah, then you want to use words like zoom, fade, crossfade, shrink, grow, pan left, pan right, flip, spin, float, fold, close up, etc., etc. And that's all stuff that comes through on those videos I want you to watch on your own. How to storyboard with stick figures, etc. Okay, it's just the vocabulary for storyboarding. All right. Any questions? When you submit for the critique, you'll either take a picture or a scan, or if you're working digitally, export an image, and you'll upload that to the discussion boards. Okay, and then like I don't have it on here, but in the critique discussion board it says write a 150-word summary essentially. Just like this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm trying to do, this is what I hope comes across, etc., etc. Okay, it's like a little commentary piece. 150 words is nothing. It's super short, a small paragraph. Okay. You can also just upload a video of you talking about it if you want it. I'm totally fine with that. It doesn't have to be 150 written words. It could be spoken words. As long as you don't go Okay? Or very, 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 very. All right, very, 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 very. No, don't do that. Yeah. Any questions on that? What we're doing? No? Okay, let's start watching some of the videos. I am not going to record watching the videos because that feels really silly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the class recording now because the rest of it is just going to be watching the videos, and then I'll let you guys go. We're going to always end early so we have time for cleaning. So we'll end about 10 minutes early. So 12:05 is really when we'll end. So we have about half an hour of that. So we should get through most of the videos. Okay. For those of you at home right now, just watch the videos. So I'm going to end the class recording now. We'll watch those videos.